Hi, it's Matt at Pegtown Pines. Today, finally getting the solar kiln loaded. Here it is. Sort of take you out and show you what I got to do here. Probably won't run the video during the whole time, just explain it all. I don't know how many years ago I built this. I usually get at least one load a summer. I'll have to go back to my chart to see how long. I usually like to leave the wood in for a minimum of a month, if not a couple months. Technically, I could probably do 3 loads through the summer if I have wood ready. But generally, if I get 2 loads out a year, that's fine. Never measured the board feet. It holds. But what I do to start here is it's my air drying area. So there's some, a few of them are in decent shape. Probably half of them are good. The rest of them are fair. 4x4s. Actually, most of those are 4x5s. Milled those out of small trees. You know, I didn't want to waste the tree, so I just milled up 4x5s and some 4x4s. Wasn't any cost to me. There was trees that were the small end. A lot of times I just throw those away, but milled them. This lumber is air drying. What I do is, as I cut it, I stack it here. And once I have enough to go in the solar kiln, we put it in there. This stuff here, I moved yesterday. This was under that wood was under there, and then that wood was added the last how many days? Actually, I guess I should say I moved this a couple days ago. That little pile will end up put on top of that. I didn't want to try to move a big pile. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to put some spacers on here, and I'll have 2 separate piles. It's a little extra work, but I'm not comfortable with my tractor lifting all of that wood. I guess I could have calculated out the weight to see, but I figure a little extra work to be safe is fine. So yeah, this is my solar kiln. Sadly, one of my fans stopped working. I'm going to plug this in here. I'm going to get this thing all ready. Check all my fans. Two fans should be enough. I might get one replaced, but 2 fans should be enough to move enough air around. I like to have into 3, but I'll have to order a new fan. I'm going to pull, matter of fact, I think I'm going to pull the one fan down that's not working. So I'm going to run my extension cords over here and find out which one. This would be a great project, actually. It's on my list to set up a little solar system over here, so I don't have to run my extension cord. Just would need a battery and some solar panels and converter. But I guess if I bought different fans, I could skip the converter. But this is going to be a hot one today and muggy. Should have been out earlier, but I didn't. There's my doors for the back. These doors probably weren't the best design the way I built them. They were cheap and easy to build. And unfortunately, I didn't mark things. So my insulation panels, I got to figure out where they all go. But yeah, this is my little project today. I'll come back to you a little later when I get a little bit more done. No need to video me just doing basic stuff. Like I said, running an extension cord and pulling those blocks down and putting some new blocks up. So yeah, I'll get you updated later. So I'm back. I've got everything prepped up here. I got to move the tractor over a couple inches. I had some long boards on this last stack. I wish I would have pushed them all to the right, but I didn't. They'll be fine. I built more, I guess I'll call it cribbing up here so I can get my forks out. So this is not the ideal solution. I could hand load it and not have to do those, but I don't want to hand load all this. It's just a pain. I even got all my blocks on top so I don't have to lift them up there. Just trying to work smarter. instead of work harder. I thought I'd give you a quick little tour of the kiln a little bit more. I didn't show you everything on this. This solar kiln, these panels probably need to be caulked again, but they seem okay. But what you probably can't see from in here is about 6 inches below this plexiglass is steel, painted black. And there's an opening right down here, 6 inches, and there's an opening at the top. What that does is the sun comes in, hits the steel, obviously black, tracks the sunlight. And the reason you can't see it from here is what it does, the fans then push that heat down. And then what this tarp does, and it's not actually set, I'll have to set that before I finish it. What it does is it sits on top of these logs. Be honest with you, where it's at, it's probably good. But there's actually attached to this tarp, there's a 2x2. And what that does is it sits on the top, and it wouldn't sit on these, it'll still sit on the top of the next one. So this is going to be a close load. Without the blocks, it would go in just fine, but with the blocks, I got to go in slow. I don't want to push this or rip this or yank this off. Might grab some 2x4s and prop this up. It's been a while since my last load wasn't that big. It was only a little bit bigger than I've got here now. This one's, this will be pushing it for height-wise. But I measured the other day, and I measured out, this was, I think, measured out to about 28 inches or so. So, with the blocks. So it should be fine. Trying to decide if I'm going to film me putting in. I'm not that great with my forks. I don't use them a lot. I use them for logs, but I don't use them for lifting items a whole lot. This is a process I do once or twice a year. So that's the amount of practice I have on it. It should work out fine. I pulled one of my fans down. I moved, I had the one on the left wasn't working, so I moved the center one over. So I've got 2 fans going. I'm actually thinking about moving this fan over to the center, mainly because there's nothing in this slot. And I think that would probably be a wise thing. So I probably, when I'm done filming here, when I switch over to the tractor, I think I'll put you on in the tractor when I try to move this over on top. It should go fine. I got pushed in a little to the right here. I probably should have pulled it back, but I think it'll be fine. It's all I have to do is make sure it's not too far forward, which it isn't, and it doesn't block all these doors. These doors will be, I got to figure them out. Styrofoam used to be attached to the wood. Obviously the heat and moving the doors around, they've all, I think one of them might still be attached, but I don't think so. So it will be like a jigsaw puzzle putting this back together. And the wood's all, especially now that we've had how many days of rain, finally, the wood's probably swollen, so there might be a little bit of hammering to get this door system in. But yeah, this is how it works. You know, the sun comes in, heats that chamber, the fans push the air down, forces the air through these, and then, you know, it's basically convection. It's your hot air wants to rise, but I'm forcing it down. Maybe I should have forced it differently. I could have probably put the fans blowing down here, force it this way, but I figure by pushing the fan to heat that way, I'm getting the hottest air comes through. Now this wood has all been air dried for a couple weeks or longer. It's funny because if you're drying hardwood, you're better off to leave it outside and let it dry the whole way and maybe finish it in the solar kiln. But pine can go in right away. Obviously, for the labor of it, I stack it up over on my drying rack, and when I get enough to get the kiln going, you know, I get it going. So now I've got a month and a half, 2 months to get another rack built up, which will be no problem. I mentioned the other day, I've got logs over here. A lot of small logs, unfortunately. But I do have a few big logs still. I got logs still on the log rack of the mill. I think I estimated about 6 days worth of milling. And I don't mill full time. I don't mill long days or anything, but I probably six days of milling, and I should get most of my wood cut up. Do got a couple hardwoods in here. I actually need to make I got to measure that long one there. I got to make a raised garden bed. I don't even know if that's long enough. I might have to cut another tree down, and instead of buying something, I'm just going to cut something down and treat it myself, and I'll treat the outside and probably not the inside. And I just put plastic on the inside. But yeah, this is today's getting warm quick, so it's going to be a short day. I'll get this lifted up, and like I said, I'll put you on in when I get in the tractor. I've got to, what do I got to do? I got to move a fan first. Move a fan, but I'll be back. Okay, here goes nothing. You might not be able to hear me well. Might be a good thing. But get some RPMs up. Let it sit for half a minute here. I let it sit for a minute or two at 1,000. Let the tractor warm up a little. Over about 6 inches or so. Probably have to get out of the cab once. I'm going to go ahead and get moved over before I try to pick it up any higher. Yeah, that's a tough load on even this amount on my tractor going this high. I'll get the four-wheel in. Put my snowblower on the back for some counterweight. Okay, this is the part where, since I can't see much, I'm going to get out of the cab. Over to the right far enough. So now I just got to go up a little more. Oh, take the brake off. See my blocks can come down a little. I think I'm on one of my blocks. I'll have to get out the tractor and move it. Blocks. I'm gonna move my block. load back out, I'll have to crank it a little bit. Got this one behind the door frame over there, if you can see it or not. But that actually went pretty well. I think I got it back a little farther than I needed to on the right side. That last little maneuver I turned a little, but I don't think it matters. I think that's pretty good. I'll be back with you in a little bit. Well, I had to move that, pull that right side back a little. I got the first two doors on with the insulation panels, so it was actually easier. I didn't have them marked, but you could tell where they went. I did almost ruin my camera though. These magnetic mounts were so nice and handy. I put it down on my forks and then proceeded to move the pile in. So I'm glad these little buggers are tough. Partially due to the magnetic mounts. Though they're strong, they pushed off and the camera just fell out of the way, and for whatever reason my fork didn't crush it, so I'm happy. I can't complain. I'll check my video later to see if the camera seems to be working fine, seems to be recording. So yeah, but this is how it is. I've already plugged it in, double checked the fans are working. Like I said, I had to pull the side back. That white tarp back there generally sits on top of the stack. I can't really get it there. This is probably my biggest fill. I'm not worried about as far as the heat. It's Solar Kiln. He'll fill it up. He'll dry the wood. It might take a little longer with more wood in it, but that's fine. We've had a hot summer. If it continues to be sunny and hot, this will be no problem at all. But next time I'll make it a point not to load it quite so much. I think when I get done here filming, I better take a measurement. I don't need to drop it down much. I don't even need to drop it a foot. I thought I had it up this high, but maybe I didn't. If I had it in, I think in the past, I used to pretty much hand fill this thing, and I'd make the rack bigger at the bottom and then smaller at top. I think that's partially it. So I could probably do that in the future, make my bottom rack just a smidgen bigger. Can't make it any bit longer than the forks, which is basically what I got it. I got it about the forks. So maybe in the future I'll just, the top rack, I'm going to make it a little skinnier. So I can get, it's the biggest thing was trying to get to the tarp, and I got to it and was able to raise it, but not all the way. Plus I think that 2x2 in there that's holding, that the tarp hangs to, I think that's time for replacing. It seemed like it was bending in the middle. Don't really want anything bigger than a 2x2. I think it's a true 2x2. I could mill maybe a 1 1/4 by 3. They give it a little more strength the one way, but that's it. This is the kiln. I'll get this thing loaded back up. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I think I built this about 6 years ago. It looks like it needs a little maintenance. I put those air things in the back. I guess they help a little bit. I've always just leaving them slightly cracked. The truth is I ended up insulating over them, but there's still cracks there, so it does let the air in. I'd have to go back. I researched these kilns, and I already probably forgot half of what I learned, but like I said, I built this thing from scratch. This is before I had a kiln, so you can see what it's done to some of this lumber. This was all, I don't know if this was, I might have built this with green lumber, let it air dry a little while. Should have air dried it, but got a lot of, this thing, like I said, this thing gets up to 130 plus. I don't think I have a temp gauge anymore that works on this thing. I did the first couple of years, and I think the plug-in end got mowed up, weed whacked off, and I haven't replaced it. Really don't need to. I log the temperature, I think, every few days and all that, but I know it gets hot. I know it gets hot enough, so I don't really need to temp it anymore. But I think it's one of those things, the first couple of years, it's always good to, keep keep records and all that. That way you know how hot it gets and all that. Now, when I say it's hot, I don't use this for construction lumber, well, small projects, but it really doesn't get hot enough, long enough. An air kiln, a solar kiln won't get hot enough long enough to kill like larvae and stuff. I haven't had to spray my lumber lately. I did one year. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at what I think I basically sprayed for mold though. You got to cut it up, let it dry, and make sure all the bugs get out. But oh, the other thing I forgot to say is on this whole video, you're probably seeing where a lot of these got wane. A lot of my projects, I only need one side good, and then a lot of the wane's not the whole board. And because I'm cutting small trees, if I was to eliminate the wane, I just would lose a lot of lumber. So I basically leave it on. I try to trim most of the bark off. A lot of these ends where I didn't cut the bark off, those are just gonna, when they come out of here, I only leave them whole just for the stacking wise. But once they come out of here, those will all get cut off. The edges that are just mildly waned, they'll just go into my wood pile. And then when I'm working on a project, I can pick and choose between my lumber. As I said, a lot of my, I build birdhouses. The birdhouses on the inside, I can have a little wane. That's not a big deal. I also build some building projects. I did a lean-to last year where I use this stuff for all the roof. A little wane on the roof doesn't matter. It's just getting covered back up with tar paper. And the same this year. I got at least one more lean-to for all my tractor implements to build. That wane's not going to bother me. When I try to, if I get a bigger log, I try to get some nice, so many nice boards out of it that don't have wane, and then I save those for projects that need it. I guess if I had access to bigger logs, or if I wanted to buy a log truck, I have a lot of trees I'm seeing around, but there aren't really any that forest back there, that should have been thinned out 30 years ago. I did, all of these, and even these should all be thinned out, but probably not going to bother. I pick and choose between trees when I get them. And like I said, this little open space I built, this netted a bunch of trees, and I'm trying to use it all. So I said, this stack here is, I got a couple. Yeah, these are all small, but some of them are a little bigger, like a little bit more. I got these that are a little small. I don't know if I'm going to go for small 1x1s or nail off a couple of 4x4s. Right now I have a ton of 4x4s, so to be honest, they're probably all going to be cut into, a lot of those I'll get 4 or 5 boards. The ones that are just a little, if they're 8 inches, 9 inches, I can usually get about 6 boards out of them. Which a lot of my herd houses and feeders, I got some that only take 4.5-inch boards. So if I can get 5-inch boards, I'm great, because the time they shrink and then the time I trim up them on the saw, I can get 4.5 inches on them. So that's good enough for a birdhouse. Hey, I'm gonna let you go for now, but like I said, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. If you want to see more of my projects, subscribe. If you like the video, hit like. Hey, if you didn't like it, don't dislike. But that's it for now. From Pigtown Pines, this is Matt. Bye.